Good morning and welcome to another one. Today, I just want to discuss how African countries can get investments using their African diaspora. I think one of the ways they can do it is by creating an investment or a Kenyan or an African diaspora bond, whichever the African country is. Because this is a powerful tool to tap into the influential financial resources of the African diaspora while building trust and engagement. So, this African bond can serve as a key driver for infrastructure development and also economic growth, all while strengthening the emotional and financial connections between Africa and its overseas communities. So, through transparent process, effective marketing, and the clear use of the funds, the African governments can harness the potential of its diaspora to contribute to national development. And that's what Africans are in the diaspora are always looking to do. I know they do participate in remittances, but remittances alone are not enough. And there's other ways that Africans can actually invest in Africa. So the creation of a diaspora bond by any African government can be a strategic move to harness the financial power and trust of the African diaspora. By tapping into the deep connections and familiarity that overseas communities have with their home country, Africa can actually raise much needed capital to boost its economy because capital is always the issue. So here's how African government can approach the development of a diaspora bond and its potential benefits. But first, let me explain what a diaspora bond is. So a diaspora bond is a government issued debt security targeted specifically at citizens or nationals living abroad. So they target those living abroad. So these bonds allow diaspora members to invest in their home countries while earning a return on the investments. So these diaspora bonds are designed to appeal to the emotional and financial ties expatriates maintain with their homeland, offering a reliable and familiar investment vehicle. So you cannot rely on remittances, but you can rely on another way whereby Africans can actually fully participate knowingly of what they're doing. So that's what a bond is, a vehicle or a tool. So the benefits of this bond, it would mobilize diaspora resources. So, like I say, Africa has a large and engaged diaspora community in the millions. So Africans living abroad are actually in the millions. So many of these individuals they send remittances home, but a, a diaspora bond, could provide formal investment mechanisms, allowing them to directly contribute to the country's development. Number two, another thing, the benefit of a bond is to lower cost of borrowings. So diaspora bonds typically lower interest rates, or they provide or they offer lower interest rates than commercial bonds. So a government bond will be cheaper than a commercial bond because they rely on patriotism, people will love their country, and of course the emotional attachment of the diaspora. This can really help reduce Africa's cost of borrowing while raising substantial capital for infrastructure and development projects, which is now sponsored by the fellow Africans in the diaspora. The other thing about bonds is they're stable and reliable. So, diaspora bonds could provide Africa with a stable source of funding that is less volatile than foreign direct investments, which may fluctuate with the global economic market. So, the bond will be really stable and reliable, whereby they know what is coming. But when you're going for foreign direct investment, this can fluctuate depending on the market or the global situation. Another benefit of the economy of the diaspora bond would be economic diversification. So funds raised through the diaspora bond could be directed towards critical sectors such as healthcare, education, and reliable energy. And of course, this will boost our long-term growth. Of course, not to mention infrastructure, the roads and electric power plants and stuff like that. All this money will just be coming from the diaspora living across the world. Then the most other important thing is we now foreign exchange stability. So the diaspora bond inflows could help stabilize the African monies or currencies by providing a steady stream of foreign exchange, easing pressure on the local currency. So, if I was a minister or a president of a country, this would be one of the first things that you'd look into because the patriotism of the diaspora is great, and that's why the remittances keep getting higher and higher every year. But this will provide a more formal way of doing it. So, designing an effective diaspora bond is to attract diaspora investors. The bond should offer competitive rates. You know, the bonds are usually really good. They could offer good maturity periods and, of course, flexible denominations. They should not be strict about the denominations. So these terms should balance the diaspora needs with the government's objectives. So the government has to have a plan and the diaspora has the needs. Then the diaspora investors want assurance that their funds are used for development projects that benefit the country. So the government should identify and communicate specific projects that the bond proceeds will fund. Because the diaspora just don't want to send they buy bonds, but they don't know what specifically the bond will do. The other thing the government can do is offer tax breaks on interest earned by this diaspora investors. You know, when the tax breaks are too high, they might decide to invest maybe wherever they are because the tax are too high. So, offering tax breaks on interest earned by these diaspora investors can make the bonds more appealing. You know, when it's more appealing, there's more people who are going to invest. For they should do exemptions, for example, on withholding taxes on bonds earnings, and this will encourage a participation because they need more money. These people need to invest. How do you make them? How do you encourage them to participate more? So the bonds could also be dominated in foreign currencies, such as they can have a U.S. dollar bond or a euro bond, and this will protect diaspora investors from currency depreciation. Because if local currencies are depreciating, people will feel like they're losing their money by insisting on using the local currencies. So encourage them to use denominations or foreign denominations to fight depreciation, which is a really discouraging thing. Or they can hedge mechanisms could be put in place to mitigate exchange rates. So if they have good exchange rates, those are ways to encourage people to participate in these bonds. But they have to do their bonds and then work on this. I mean, most ministries of finance have planners, PhD holders, and I know they can figure this out once they have one or two meetings. Number three, they have to have online accessibility in investment platforms. You know, you cannot tell people come back to the country to invest. Everything is done online. This is the age of AI. So the government should develop secure, user-friendly online platforms for purchasing and managing these diaspora bonds. By doing that, they're ensuring ease of access from anywhere in the world, and this would increase participation and, of course, engagement. But most importantly, they have to work on trust. There's too much corruption going on. Before you set up this kind of bond, the diaspora investors want to ensure that their funds are used effectively. So the government must provide clear and transparent reporting on how the funds are allocated and the impact of the funded projects. Because the funded projects must have an impact to the regular people. So regular audits and process updates will build trust. So you keep letting the diaspora know this is where we've reached, this is what you're doing, this is the impact. That's how you build trust. So this person will be eager to continue with this investment. And of course, a stable government or stable environment, political environment, and sound economic policies are crucial. If you don't have a stable political environment and your economic policies are not good, then you're not going to be winning. You will not win the confidence of the diaspora investors. They also need stability, and also you have to have sound economic policies. So ensuring that the funds are not misappropriated, because that's what I said, corruption, will strengthen trust and increase participation. You don't want the diaspora to keep saying they're corrupt, they're all stealing, they're all stealing. So government stability and credibility have to be worked on so that you build trust with the diaspora. And of course, by the time you're doing the economic policies, I believe engaging the diaspora through consultative forums and allowing them to voice their concerns and also allowing them to contribute ideas. This can create a stronger sense of ownership in the investment process. When you have a stake in the investment process, then you think you're the owner, or you feel like you're the owner, this will just encourage more participation, and that's how you even raise more money. And countries like China, Japan, they've all done this, and you can see where they are at this time in terms of using their diaspora for further strengthening the global perspective and, of course, building trust. So, besides just having the bond, now they have to promote this diaspora bond. Just by saying that, just by the government saying we have a bond and nobody knows about it, it's not going to work. They have to promote it. So the government should launch global marketing campaign to raise awareness about this diaspora bond. This could include outreach through the embassies. This could be through the diaspora organizations which are there, like we have KDA Global USA. And of course, they can also use the social media platforms targeting the diaspora communities. So they have to promote it. But they must also partner with organizations, like I say, like the KDA Global USA, which already have strong connections with the diaspora. This can help in mobilizing interest and participation in the bond offering. So these organizations can play a pivotal role in educating and advocating for the bond. So the government has to take that extra step to do that. Another thing to promote the bond is they have to leverage existing remittances channels. So given the large volume of remittances sent to Africa, the government can collaborate with remittances services providers, promote the diaspora bond, encouraging Kenyans abroad to invest their remittances rather than sending cash transfers. So if Kenyans can be, the thinking can be switched from just sending remittances to investing in the bond, that will also help a great deal. So working closely with remittances organization will also help create a good marketing ploy for the government. So I'll give you a few examples of successful diaspora bonds. Israel and India have successfully issued diaspora bonds, raising billions of dollars to finance their development projects. For example, Israel's diaspora bond program has been running since the 1950s. This is like 70 years later. So they've been providing consistent financial support to their country. Similarly, India has raised over $11 billion in diaspora bonds, which are used to support infrastructure and economic reforms in India. Now, why are the African countries not following these perfect examples that are working globally? So they can learn from these countries because those experiences are great. So they can do this by offering attractive terms, ensuring robust legal frameworks, and maintaining transparent reporting practices. And this can be done. The reason why they have not done it, they have not told the diaspora why they can't do it, or the global markets. They've not said anything. But by doing that, the government to ensure that it has the capacity to repay investors in a timely manner. And I believe that's a challenge African countries are having. They are not able to establish clear debt management strategies and building foreign currency reserves, which they can use to help mitigate risks. So, by not having foreign currency reserves, it's hard for them to mitigate risk. So, they need to get this foreign currency build up. Political uncertainties can make diaspora investors very scared and wary to run away. So this challenge of promoting policies that ensure stable governance and peaceful transition of power will be crucial in gaining investor confidence. People want to know that if they put their money somewhere, it's going to be safe and they'll get the rate of return. So this challenge that faces Africans of political instability is crucial. They must build on that. They have to realize the diaspora are eager to work with them so that they can have stable transition of power and also what political stability. African countries have ignored their diaspora when it comes to political uh, engagement, while the diaspora are more exposed and actually can offer new suggestions and challenges that they may have. Another challenge why African countries are afraid of issuing these bonds is, the trust deficit. To overcome any trust deficit, African governments must ensure that funds are safeguarded. What I mean, nobody can steal it. And corruption must be eradicated and removed totally. I see the Kenyan government are in the process of impeaching the current vice president, apparently because of corruption. So, these trust deficits, we must ensure that corruption is eradicated. And that projects funded by diaspora bonds provide measurable social and economic benefits. If the benefits are there and social benefits and everybody's happy, there can be bonds coming every year. Like I said, I highlighted up there earlier on. Israel has been doing it since 1950s, and you can see where Israel is. It's a developed country, and most of the funds are coming from these diaspora bonds. So creating an Africa diaspora bond is a powerful tool to tap into the financial resources of African diaspora while building trust and also engagement. So, because these bonds can serve as a key driver for infrastructure development, they can also be a key driver for economic growth while strengthening and the emotional and financial connections between Africa and the overseas communities, which are always eager to participate. So, through transparent process, effective marketing, and clear use of funds, the African governments can harness the potential of its diaspora to contribute to national development. So, with those few remarks, I just want to say thank you once again for listening. For me, it's key. They have to de-risk the countries, and then they have to now build this trust, because reshaping Africa's global investment narrative and the role of the diaspora is key. But this government has to be strong, infrastructure development has to be strong, and that has to be done. So, with those few remarks, I just want to say thank you so much for listening. I just urge you to subscribe to the channel so that once I release another one, you'll be the first one to hear or to hear about it. Share with a friend, share with your government officials, let them know what the diaspora is actually looking for. So, with that, I just want to say thank you, and I'll see you in the next one. But in the meantime, share, like, and of course, talk about it. Let's see what can be done. I just want to say thank you, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.